Assalamu alaikum 11th A, 11th C students. This is your first computer science or computer application class. In this class, we are going to see chapter number 1, Introduction to Computer. Computer science and computer applications are different subject, but first 5 chapters are same for both subjects. So you can share this video. Now we are going to see the first chapter, Introduction to Computer. In this chapter, we are going to cover the following topics. Number 1, Introduction to Computer, Generation of Computers, Sixth Generation, Data and Information, Components of Computer. First topic, Introduction to Computer. Of course, computer is an indispensable part of our life. That is, we are unable to avoid this computer in our life. You can see wherever you can find a computer device, from a small shop to a big mall, from small industry to a very big industry, from small dispensary to a very big hospitals, from small commercial video making to big film industries. So computer plays a very important role in private public sectors also. So here a computer become a job oriented course and also a perform very good revolution in our life. Simultaneously, it also has some negative impacts, but we should consider only good impacts. So this revolution and growth of the computer is adopted by the computer because of its revolutionary features. One is accuracy, another one is speed. Of course, these two are the important thing because now we don't have time. But you can hear many of big peoples try to explain that time is precious. So if you want to consume time perfectly, you want to be accurate, you want to be speed. So that's why computer plays a very vital role in our life. Now we are in this lesson, we are going to understand what is the computer technically. Of course, we use computer, we see computer, of course we know more about computer technically, but here we are going to understand technically what is the purpose of computer, how computer was originated, and what is the need of the computer. But in real life we literally use the computer. So now we are going to uh, understand computer origin. Whenever whenever we search for origin of computer, it starts from calculation. Of course, calculation plays a very main role in our life. For for performing fast calculation, human tries to develop many equipments, many devices in different eras. One of the most famous calculating machine and first calculating machine, abacus, is the device where where the computer origin starts. After abacus, many devices are invented by humans and they are used for many eras. After now we are in computer era where computer are used for calculation, and there are different developments in computer. These developments are called generations. That is the growth in the computer field. The development in computer field and technology which is used in computer field is known as the basic criteria for the categorizing the different generations. In computer, there are 6 generations are classified in your syllabus. We are going to see one by one. These generations are named as first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, sixth. Now we are in the first generation. So each generation have their own merits and demerits, have their own technology. In this generation, we use a technology called vacuum tubes. See here the picture of vacuum tubes. This is the main component in this first generation computer. These generation computer are used between 1940 to 1956. These generation computer have their merits and demerits. One of the biggest demerits is big in size. Of course, in examples, you can see the size of the first generation computer can be calculated in this format, that is 8 feet into 100 feet into 3 feet. Of course, it takes something around 1000 square feet of floor space to assemble a single computer. So it is one of the biggest drawback or demerit for first generation computer, big in size. The second demerit, it consume more power. So of course we know computer require power supply. So first generation computer required more power. How much of power? It may be around 150 watts of power. Next, malfunction due to overheat, because we are using a 150 of volts for running a single computer. uh, it produce enormous amount of heat, which create malfunction between their components. So this is the third demerit, and only one merit. The the next point is the next demerit is machine language was used. So of course we know machine language. We are going to discuss the language. The machine language refers to binary language. All the la- all the computer in all the computers of different generation use still machine language, that is binary language. This language is called binary. Bi means two, because it called binary, because in this language there is only two letters. One is zero, one another one is one. So here zero refers to power off status, one refers to power on status. So when when a single logic gate is power supply is passed in the logic gate, then the state is 1. If the power supply is off in any logic gate, then the status is 0. Based upon the power supply, that is power on and off state, these inputs are accepted. These languages are binary language, which we are going to discuss detail in second chapter. So first generation computer uses machine language or binary languages. Some of the examples of first generation computer is ENAC, EDVAC, UNIVAC 1. So weight of the ENAC is something around 27 tons, and size, which we already discussed. So these are some of the important points of first generation computer. So to overcome these demerits, that is big in size, power consumption, and malfunction due to overheat, research was begun from the 1940s. At the end of 1956, there is a solution called transistor. So the main component vacuum tubes for first generation is replaced with the transistor. This transistor plays a very important role or technique in this generation of computer. This generation of computer used between the year 1956 to 1964. Some of the merits and demerits. Number one, smaller compared to first generation computer. Of course, because of using transistor, lot of space is saved. Second, generate less heat. Third, consume less power. So three important demerits of first generations are solved here. Number one, the size is reduced, heat production is reduced, power consumption is reduced. And the important merit of this second generation is, in this generation computer, for input we use punch cards. That is a cards with many holes used for giving inputs to computer of second generation. First operating system was developed in this generation, which operating system are called batch processing and multi-programming operating system. So batch processing and multi-programming concept was discussed in our fourth chapter. Before that, we are going to understand some basic things. In first generation computer, for if you want to run a program, namely program number A, then you want to on the computer give require inputs. After that, allowed to execute the instruction and wait for the output. When output is achieved, you want to switch off the first generation computer. And then if you want to run the second computer, again you want to on and give necessary input. After execution, where after achieving output, you want to shut down the computer. So each and every program, for running each and every program, you want to switch on and switch off the computer. This is the very big problem in first generation computer. So for this solution, the second generation come up with an idea called batch processing. Here similar programs are grouped into batches, and these programs are run simultaneously and achieved all the outputs simultaneously. For example, if you are working with uh, a media player, you want to play a song. If you want to select 5 songs, you can select 5 songs simultaneously, and you can give the input to the computer and ask the computer to play the 5 songs simultaneously. After playing the 5 songs, computer will shut down, and after that you again you want to on and you want to start with a different program. If you want to print a file, then you can print the file simultaneously. It may be n number of files you can print simultaneously in the second generation computer, but we cannot do in first generation. This concept called batch processing called batch processing technique is used in this second generation computer. And another important merit of second generation computer is here we are using a machine language and as well as assembly language. Assembly language is more or less like symbol language. Of course, when you know, machine language is a binary language, consists of two letters, one is 0 and 1. By combining this machine and assembly language, we able to give instruction very easily compared to first generation computer. Some of the examples of second generation computer is IBM 1401, 1620, UNIVAC 1108 is the example for are the examples for the second generation computer. Now we are going for third generation. So after achieving and solving the problems of first generation computer, now we are going to improve our standard and quality for of computers. For that purpose, research continue, and now a new technology was invented by scientists. This technology is called integrated circuit. Shortly, we can say IC. Of course, we hear many times this word IC in many electronic devices, TV, mobiles, laptops. Of course, we hear this word IC. IC means integrated circuit is a technology where where a silicon chips was discovered. This technology computers are used between 1964 to 1971. Because of this invention in ITs, there are many merits. So compared to second generation computer, third generation computers are smaller, faster, and more reliable than second generation computer. It also consume very less power. And here third generation language, third generation computer use a high level language called English type language. That is more or less English language is used for giving in instruction to computer. But in second and first generation computer, we use binary and symbols for giving instructions. So this is the third generation where we actually start using English. But now itself we are using a same language. Technically, if you consider computer now itself understand only binary language, it unable to understand English or any other language. But for users, we are using high level language. We are giving commands in high level language. These instructions are converted into binary language binary language, and the process was started by the computer. The examples for the third generation computers are IBM 360 series, Honeywell 6000 series are the examples for third generation computer. After we achieving some milestone in the generation, we are going for next upgrade version called fourth generation computer. These computers are used between 1971 and 1980s. Here we come up, our scientists come up with a new idea called a microprocessor. That means many transistors are reduced in size and arranged in a very large scale manner into a single chip. That means a single chip contains hundred to thousands of transistors. This technique that means this technique called VLSI, very large scale integrated circuit. That means in a large scale manner we are integrating the ICs, integrated circuits, into a single chip. That single chip is called microprocessors. So because of inventing microprocessor, the merits we achieve is in size wise we are smaller compared to other generation, older generation, and speed wise we are faster than older generation computer. The microcomputer series such as IBM and Apple were developed. Portable computers were introduced. Of course, portable computers means desktop computers. Now we are in the fifth generation computer. It period starts from 1980s till date. We are using 65th generation computer. Now we are in a fifth gen. In this generation, we are using ultra scale integration. That means we are integrating many ICs. More than thousand number of transistors are integrated into a single chip by using a technique called ultra large scale integration. By using this ultra large scale integration technique, we achieved faster, smarter, and reliable computers. Because of that, we are using parallel processing. That means in a single computer, we are using many CPUs and use superconductors, which reduce the power consumption and also they reduce the overheat of computer. Next, computer size was drastically reduced from room size to, that is 1000 square feet of room size, to lab size. That is, we are using a laptop, placing computer in our labs, and we are using palm top computers, that is computer using in our hands, that is mobile. So the size was drastically reduced. Can recognize image and graphics, of course, compared to other older generation computer, fifth generation computer, very reliable to graphics and images. Here images graphics plays a very vital role for communication interpretation also. Introduction to artificial intelligence and expert systems also introduced in this generation in a trial basis. In future we are going to new gen called artificial intelligence, and we are expecting the system which solves our problem by uh, simply asking and communicating with us with our language. So these computers are also able to solve high complex problems, including decision making and logical reasoning also. So this is the sixth generation. In future we are going to use these computers. In this generation we are expecting that this era may be called as a artificial neural networks. So this in this generation explosive growth of wide area network, that is internet, was going to happen. Here we are using natural language processing, that is the language we speak. It may be Tamil, it may be Urdu, it may be German, Arabic, or any language. It can be understandable by computer without any problem. And it can, the computers, this generation, that is sixth generation computer, can ask question to us with our own language, and easy to communicate with each other and try to solve our problems by using decision making. They decide by self. No, they are not, these computers are not expecting any command from user like fifth gen computer. In fifth generation computer, for any work, we should give command. But in sixth generation computer, based upon the situation, based upon the reasoning, computer itself take decision and execute the processing style. So these are the merits and demerits of the 60th generation computer. Here you can see parallel and distributed computers. It means we are using computers simultaneously for more than one purpose. Computers have become smarter, faster, smaller, development of robotics, natural language processing, development of voice recognition software. Of course, in latest smartphones, we are using a voice recognition software used to open any app, give inputs. We are using a voice recognition software also. This is the different generation of computer. Now we are going to understand the second next topic, data and information. So these are the two jargons of computers. Jargons means the technical terms which related to computer field. It should be understandable. It should be no should be it should be very clear to user the term what is data and what is information. So of course we know computer do work of TV. Computer can be useful for playing games, playing musics, for computing, for accounting purpose, for making graphics, for making films, for editing pictures, for more and more purpose. But technically we want to understand what is computer. So very simple manner we can give two definition for the computer. Number one, it is an electronic device. It is an electronic device because this device requires electricity that process the input according to the set of instruction. It process the input given by the user, and by the according to the set of instruction given by the user, and gives the desired output at a very fast rate. So this computer accept input, accept instruction, and process according to the instruction and give the output. This is the simple definition of computer. The second definition of computer is a computer is an electronic device, same thing, that takes raw data, that is unprocessed data, as input from the user and process it under the control of set of instruction called program, produce a result called out, and save it for future use. So here we are introduced with three technical terms. Number one, the data, that means unprocessed collection of fact. Number two, program, that is set of instruction. Number three, output, that is the result which we are going to achieve from computer. So this is the three terms which we should understand. The first thing is data. So data is defined as an unprocessed collection of raw fact. Fact means truth, raw fact, unprocessed raw fact. For understanding this thing, here you can see the example 134 is a data, 16 is a data, Kavita is a data, C is the data. But these data are raw data. These data does not give any meaning. These data are unprocessed collection of data, unprocessed collection of raw fact. So when we go for information, here you can see information is a collection of fact. That means it is processed fact from which conclusion may be drawn. We can make decisions by using information. We can come into any conclusion by using information, but by using this data, we are unable to take any decision. For example, Kavita is 16-year-old. This is the information. It means Kavita, who is older, 16 years old. This information is about Kavita and conveys some meaning. This conversion of data into information is called data processing. It means so the separate data, that is Kavita 16 134C, the separate data doesn't give any meaning. When we convert these data into information like this, Kavita is 16-year-old, this data is converted as a processed data. So this processed data is called information. The converting the data into information is conversion called data processing, is done by the program. This is the simple thing which was explained in this topic. That is, a computer is an electronic device that takes raw data, that is input, unprocessed data as input from the user, and process it under the control of a set of instructions called program. Our produce a result output and saves it for future use. So here we give input data, we give the instruction, this instruction is called program, we process the instruction, we process the data, and we get the output. This output is called information. These are the three jargons which we should understand. Number one, data, information, and program. So data is unprocessed collection of raw fact, information is a collection of fact, that is processed fact. The program is a set of instruction which convert the data into information. So next we are going to understand the component of computer. So there are two major component in computer. One is hardware, another one is software. Of course, we know hardware is a physical component of a computer, like motherboard, memory, device, monitor, keyboard, etc. are called hardware, and software is a set of program or instructions. So these are two components of major component of computers. If anyone is skipped or anyone is ignored, then computer is not a computer, it is just a incomplete machine. So every task given to computer follow an input process output cycle. For input we should have hardware. For processing we require hardware. For output we require hardware. In the same way, for converting, for using this input, for using this processor, for using these output devices, we require software. Without software we are unable to use hardware. Without hardware we are unable to use software. This is the combination of hardware and software. So here you can see we give the input, process the data, we get the output. This cycle is called IPO, input process output cycle, in computer language, computer field. Next we are going to understand the different components of computer. It means to hardware. So here we are going to understand the different units of hardware. The total hardware components are divided into uh, four units. Number one, input unit. Number two, output unit. Number three, memory unit. Number four, central processing unit. In this slide we are going to discuss three unit. Number one, input unit, output unit, memory unit, and next we are going to understand this central processing unit. In the diagram you can see this is the input unit, output unit, and memory unit. So memory unit is divided into two unit. One is main memory, otherwise called primary memory, secondary storage or otherwise called secondary memory. After that there is a box called CPU. It contains three units: control unit, ALU, internal memory, which we are going to discuss in next topic. So CPU, central processing unit, consists of three units called control unit, ALU, control unit, ALU, and internal memory. So first we are going to understand how the computer components work. So whenever user want to give the input, he should or she should use user should use the input unit. Using this input unit, user gives the inputs. These inputs are transferred from input unit to memory unit. These red lines determine the data path. So these inputs are first stored in main memory. After that main memory, these data are transferred to internal memory, and then these data are transferred to ALU. Here all the process are done by the CPU, and then output is written. Input and outputs are written to a internal memory. From internal memory to again the data and information is written to main memory. If user want to store these data and information for future views, then he can use he can store the data in secondary memory. If a user want to display the data and information on the screen, he can use the data and information from main memory to output unit. So output unit is simply used to display the output and output and input data and information. If user want to take printout, he may also use this output unit. So these red color lines determine how the data travels from input unit to output unit. So this is the simple three steps, that is from input to main memory to internal memory to ALU. After completing all process in ALU, the output is achieved. After the output is returned to internal memory, and then same way internal memory returns all the output to main memory. And then from main memory, if user want to store it for future use, he can use the secondary storage. Or if you want if the user want to display or take the printout, he can use this output unit. So this red line determine the flow of data. The blue line used to describe the control path of the data. So here control unit is the only unit which controls all the devices except all the devices. Here you can see a blue line from control unit goes to all devices: input unit, output unit, memory unit, main memory, secondary memory, ALU. So here you can see all the devices are controlled by only by control unit, which was within CPU unit. So first input unit, which is used to feed any form of data, example keyboard and mouse are example for input unit. Output unit is a hardware component that convey information to user, the information to user, example print monitor and printers. Of course memory unit is used to store data. Here there are two types of memory: one is primary memory and main memory. Secondary memory or secondary storage memory. Prime memory is otherwise called as volatile memory, because whenever the user shut down the computer, all the data in this primary memory was erased. Uh, or the content is lost. This RAM, random access memory, is one of the example for primary memory and main memory. So secondary memory is a non-volatile memory. That is, this memory is a permanent memory, where whatever data stored in secondary memory is stored after the power supply is switched off. Example for the secondary memory is hard disk, CD-ROM, DVD-ROM. So primary memory is otherwise called volatile or temporary memory. Secondary memory is otherwise called a non-volatile or permanent memory. In primary memory, whenever user switch off the computer, all the data is erased. Secondary memory, if the user switch off the power supply to computer, the data in secondary memory will save for long life. These examples for the secondary memories: hard disk, CD-ROM, DVD-ROM are some of the examples for secondary memory. So these are the three important unit: input unit, output unit, memory unit. Now we are going to discuss the important unit of computer, that is central processing unit. CPU is the major component which interprets execute software instruction. It also controls the operation of all other component. It accepts binary data as input, process and provide the result as output. So CPU has three major units called ALU, which perform arithmetic operation such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and logical operation like comparing. All the decision making, all the calculations are done in ALU. Input control unit, of course we already know, it controls all the units of a computer: flow of data, flow of instruction by using by using other input devices. Next, internal memory. This is the memory. This memory is otherwise called as a register, which was inside the CPU. Other than primary, secondary memory, there was a third memory called internal memory or register, which one is very small in size but very costly, and it was placed within the CPU for uh, main process or for main data's execution. So they are used to hold the instruction and data for the execution of the process. So this is the three important units of uh, components of a CPU. Now we are we are in the end of the session. Inshallah, we will continue our session in the next class. I hope you understand the concept of computer. So I if you have any doubt, text me using WhatsApp group or text me personally to my number, and prepare very well. Do your work very well. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.